What are you at? What are you at? It's Paul from Wicked Acorn. Welcome back. It's Friday, TGIF, and what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today, Puss? Let's see here. Get my screen up. And it looks like we got a couple of people watching. Give some people a chance to join in the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Good evening, Astrex. So, this was our mystery photo from yesterday. Now, Astrex knows where it is, and he left some great comments about where it is. But we're not going to reveal where it is just yet. We're going to show Monday's mystery photo, and we'll come back to today's mystery photo. So I'll just leave today's mystery photo there for a moment, and I'll get a sip of tea from my Brew Crew mug. You can get all kinds of different bees and things, different colors, and get your name put on it, whatever you like. So that is our mystery photo for Monday. And what is it today? It's the 10th of October. It's 10:10. 10:10 today. And today in history is the Women's Social and Political Union, WSPU, was a woman-only organization founded in 1903 by Emmeline Pankhurst to campaign for women's suffrage in the United Kingdom. Frustrated with the lack of progress by peaceful suffrage groups, the WSPU adopted the motto, "Deeds, not words," and became known for its militant and confrontational tactics, including civil disobedience and property damage. And we've talked about them. That will be a challenge. That photo, you mean? We've talked about Emmeline Pankhurst and the Pankhursts several times because they live just down the road, and her husband is buried just up the road here. Important part of Manchester history, and that's where we are. We're in Greater Manchester. We're in a town called Sale, and I guess most people watching at this moment in time live know that. But for anyone watching afterwards that doesn't know where we are, we're in a town called Sale in Greater Manchester. But we're on the other side of the Mersey, so we're in Cheshire. Manchester's in Lancashire. And that's a point of contention for some. But yeah, she was a big. Good evening, 1, 2, 3, 4. She was a big person in the women's suffrage movement. She was voted the most influential person of, I think, person. It might have been woman, but I think it might have been person in the 20th century in some poll a while ago. So that was this day in history in 1903. Coincidentally, on this day in history is in 1978, U.S. Congress, good evening, U.S. Congress approved legislation to mint a dollar coin honoring the women's suffrage leader Susan B. Anthony. Now, those on this side of the pond in the UK probably haven't heard of Susan B. Anthony, but she's the Emmeline Pankhurst of the United States. And she was big in the suffrage movement in the US. You're a Lancashire lad? Are you on this side of the Mersey? Um, The coin was produced in 1979, designed by Frank Gasparo. It was the first to feature a specific historical woman on U.S. circulating coinage. And the design was approved on this day in 1978, I guess. And Susan B. Anthony dollar in the same year. It was produced from 79 to 81, and again in 1999 when reserves were low. It was often confused with the quarter due to its similar size and color, which led to its unpopularity and the suspension of its production after 1998, I guess that's supposed to be. Or, I don't know what that is. It says after 198. Yeah, the Americans have silver dollars, and Canada has a silver dollar too, and a 50-cent piece, and I believe there's still silver, like silver content. And this Canadian silver dollar is, you don't see them very often, and you certainly don't see the 50-cent piece very often. The American silver dollar you'll see occasionally, but it's more of a collector's thing. Right, before Greater Manchester was a county. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people don't like to put Greater Manchester on their mail and things like that, and they say they're from Cheshire or Lancashire. A lot of our mail that comes to this house is Cheshire. It doesn't say Greater Manchester, but that's a thing I have yet to resolve. Does Cheshire? Well, obviously Cheshire still exists, but are we still in Cheshire? Because Cheshire is part, on this side of the Mersey, south of the Mersey, is Cheshire. So that hasn't changed. We're still south of the Mersey. So are we still in Cheshire? It's like, I think yes, but I don't know for certain. You can be in two places at one time, right? I mean, we're in Greater Manchester, and we're in the UK, and we're in England, and we're in Europe, and so on. You can be in two places at the same time, even though it's the same place. So that's an interesting thing that I haven't resolved yet. Is this part of Greater Manchester still Cheshire? Does one override the other? It's a historic county, and what's Greater Manchester? It's a different kind of county name on that. Anyway, that's something I intend to look into at some point in time. But this day in history, 1936, Judith Chalmers. Now, you guys know who this is? I'm assuming you do. I don't. I have never heard of this lady. But she was born on this day in well, maybe I shouldn't say. Let's just leave that open. Ceremonial County, that's right. So we'll just leave the year blank. Actually, there's 2 years here. She is an English TV hostess. Wish You Were Here. Born in Stockport, Cheshire, England. Let's see. Okay, that's about Gatley. Is it Gatley? Gately? So there's a few different sources of her birthplace. Some just say Manchester. So she's best known for presenting the long-running ITV travel program Wish You Were Here from 1974 to 2003. So Asterix, you've heard of her. Good. Um, Early career, she began working in radio for the BBC at age 13, also known for presenting ITV's Good Afternoon and hosting the Miss World contest. She's been married to sports commentator Neil Durden Smith since 1964. And their son, Mark Durden Smith, is also a TV presenter. Gatley. So, that is why this photo, because as Asterix pointed out, it's the Hippodrome Stockport Road towards High Road from Stockport. And Asterix gave us some great information about that photo yesterday, more than I know. Rhymes with cat. Okay, so Gatley. So that is the reason we chose that photo, because of Stockport. And we'll get to a couple of videos, and we're really, 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 really walking the tightrope here this evening. Let me tell you, I got videos here that I could very easily get copyright claims and copyright strikes on. So I got my finger on the button to get us out of this as quickly as possible, hopefully. And it's a older film. This Thames production, I'm sure you're well aware of this thing. It was something, it's not in Stockport. Okay, it says it's from Stockport, but it's Stockport Road, right? At any rate, it's only a connection. It may be loose at that. This is old footage, and you'll see that camera ratios have changed over the years, and they've changed again. Now there's 4K, and so the ratio of the screen has changed, so it's not perfectly lined up there. This is, remember when TVs were square? But I used to love this. I used to love to hear this song. A lot of the shows I watched when I was a kid were these Thames productions, and it's an amalgamated photo, isn't it? It's you can't really see that in real life. So I got my finger on the pause button. We're only going to watch a very short clip of this, and this is what got me into the subject of tonight's videos, is this introduction. We're not going to watch the whole thing because this is definitely copyright world.
Hello and welcome to Wish You Were Here. Well, as you can see, this week I'm at Butlins because it was exactly 50 years ago this Easter that Billy Butlin opened his first holiday camp at Skegness. We have found 4 of...
So there we go. That is all I wanted to show you of that, because it got me thinking about Butlins. I don't know anything about Butlins. Never really heard of it before. I've only heard of it in one case, in one instance. So we'll go through a little bit of the story of Butlins, because it's not something I'm familiar with, and I'm sure it's something that most North Americans are not familiar with. Now, which one we got first? This one here. That program, by the way, is Thames TV. And this one is a channel called Cookie Wales 1. It's Battle to Others, yes. Is it Stockport Road? Can you at least give me Stockport Road? Um, let's see. Okay, we'll get in here and see what happens here.
A second resort at Clacton-on-Sea. But life in Britain was not to be one big holiday. This recently discovered film shows visitors to the Clacton camp in 1939.
Every time I see this film, there's young men and young women just enjoying their holiday in glorious Technicolor. I get a lump in my throat because you know what's coming next. You know the story. You know that we're going to be at war any minute.
That is really sad, isn't it? All these happy people, and yeah, we're going to be at war any minute. This footage from Butlins. And is there anything else I wanted to see in this? Like I said, I got to be really careful here because this is all copyright material.
A lot of those young lads and young ladies would never probably come back.
Seaside holidays would be over for the duration, but Billy Butlin soon found new customers to fill his chalets.
When Billy Butlin started building his holiday camp in 1936, he couldn't have conceived that a world war would start and the government would be begging for places to accommodate soldiers, sailors and members of the Air Force. And that's...
So yeah, a lot of these places. So I haven't really explained what it is, but it's a holiday camp. It's it's like like a theme park and places to stay and rides and swimming pools, and it's a holiday resort. Not really a thing we have a lot of. It's not really a thing anymore, is it? The holiday camps have kind of like disappeared. But apparently Butlin still exists, but it's not something that I'm aware of at all. It's not something on my radar. But it was a very popular thing back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and right on up through. And I noticed there was one at Clacton-on-Sea. That's interesting. I don't think there's one there now. Is there? I don't know. Haven't looked into this a whole lot.
These camps were used for.
Butlin's Skedne.
But I found that really interesting. You see, I've mentioned before that my fondness for the Beatles, and that's the only thing I know about Butlins is not your thing, is it, baby with a laser? I don't know anything about it. It's probably not my kind of thing either, but I'm sure kids love it. I don't know. I really don't know. There is a clown there. Yes, there is a clown there. There is a clown there. That is for certain. Um, yeah, so it's a holiday camp. It's not something I'm familiar with. It's not something we had. Uh, Not something I'm familiar with at all. We had, provincial parks where you would go and stay in the park, which is not really a thing here. You have your parks and things, but we have provincial parks as well as national parks, and they're just places where you can go and camp, and they're like campsites. They do exist here, but they're very different here than they are in Canada. They're much more, um, you know, you're on your own, self-sufficient. You might get a fire pit and somewhere to get water and a wooden outhouse, but that's it. You don't get a shower. Like I couldn't believe that when I went camping here. It's like a room with a shower and a kitchen, and okay, this ain't camping. Anyway, that's the closest thing we have. A ponton. See, I don't know what that is. I guess that's another one of these holiday camps, is it? Um, the one thing I do know about Butlins, and anybody who follows Beatle history knows this story. The story of Ringo Starr getting the call to join the Beatles.
History unfolded at Butlins in Skegness in 1962, where the band in residence, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, featured a promising young drummer called Ringo Starr.
Towards the end of the season, I was having a coffee with Ringo, and over the camp PA system, there came this call, Ringo Starr to the reception, phone call. He said, yeah, oh, hello lads, and I knew he was talking to the Beatles for some reason. It just clicked, you know. And then he went, oh, do I have to? And he did that, because he had a beard. They would tell him to shave his beard off, and he didn't want to. Yeah. Oh.
It's a well-known thing in Beatle lore, the Butlins gig where Ringo got the call to join the Beatles. That's where the Beatles became the Beatles, right? They had Pete Best before this. Pete Best, the most unlucky man in rock and roll history, and Ringo Starr, the luckiest man in rock and roll history. Yes, I watched I watched a bunch of these videos in the red coats and all that thing. Oh, Pontons were blue coats. Okay. Yes, I know what the red coats are. I've watched a bunch of these videos, but like I said, it's all stuff from television, so it's all heavily copyrighted, this stuff. So we may get a copyright strike on this. I hope not. Um, yeah, so this is really well known in Beatle lore.
Because he had a beard. They would tell him to shave his beard off, and he didn't want to. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and he put the phone down, and he's turned around to me and said, I'm going to join the Beatles, you know. And I remember the exact words I said. I said, you've cracked it, mate. You know, because we just knew they were going to be absolutely huge, you know.
What would you...
So definitely have to pause there. We cannot play Beatles music. That's a real no-no. We can't play actual real live Beatles music. But the reason the yeah, that's what they were just saying about the Butlins places. They were taken over by the armed forces. Uh, we didn't have such things. I mean, there were amusement parks. There, like we had like a traveling amusement park that went around. There wasn't a place uh, in Newfoundland where there was like what's that place? I can't think of the name of it. Okay, so it's so well known that they made a fictional one. Heidi High. Yeah, it's not something I'm familiar with at all, which is really ironic. It's not a thing in Canada, this thing. There was one place I remember going to as a kid in Prince Edward Island, which is another one of the provinces. It's the smallest geographic. Oh, okay, right. The Cheshire Navy. Okay, gotcha. Alton Towers. Yes, that's the place I'm trying to think of, and we were there recently, and I couldn't even remember the name of the place. I went on two rides. I went on the Crazy Train or something like that, which is like the baby roller coaster. I'm not afraid to go on them. I've been on them. It's just I just have no time for it. It doesn't it doesn't entertain me at all. Uh, it's just not my idea of fun. Choo choo. The girl doing the announcements and getting everybody hyped up for the ride. It's like she said the same thing 8,000 times today. Choo choo. The enthusiasm was waning by 4 o'clock in the evening when we went on it. Oblivion, yeah, it's absolutely amazing to stand there, and my wife and daughter love it, and they were on. Um, it might have been Oblivion. Is that the one where you kind of stand up and it goes through a? Anyway, they're all roller coasters, but I was amazed at the speed of some of them. At incredible speed they go by. Um, yeah, it's just not my idea of fun. Um, and we just don't have such things. Like I was just going to talk about the place in Prince Edward Island, and that wasn't that kind of thing either. It was more like a campground, and they had like little paddle boats and things like that. Nothing like roller coasters or any of that kind of stuff. I think they might have had the gravity drop. Uh, yeah, I don't. What was the name of that place? Rainbow Village or something like that. Can't remember. It's a long time ago. Um, yeah, it's not a thing that we have in Canada. Not something I'm familiar with anyway. The corkscrew. Yeah, not my thing. I mean, I enjoyed it when I was little. I mean, everything was enjoyable when you were little, I guess. And they didn't have those violent rides that they have at Alton Towers. It was just like a traveling uh, amusement park, and they had like the roundup and a Ferris wheel and stuff like that. Uh, I don't like the idea of getting on a machine that a guy puts together with a wrench before you get on it, and he goes around, tightens up bolts. I don't know how safe that can be. But there's never been any real accidents that I remember. But it's just not a thing in Canada that I'm aware of. Maybe so, but not that I'm aware of. But that's the irony of the Butlins holiday camp. Check out this video. That was, if you saw the thumbnail for this video before it started, the thumbnail for this video, um, it's what's this thing? Let me see if I can get it up here to show you. There we go. In case you haven't seen it. So that's the thumbnail I made up for this video. So as I was skipping around looking for videos related to the Butlins Holiday Park, yeah, you went to Universal Studios in Florida. I didn't go to that. It's not my thing. It's not my idea of fun. And luckily my children aren't real big into it either. The Grand National in Blackpool. Okay. Uh, I've been to Blackpool, but again, that stuff doesn't really interest me. So this thing here, this red thing, I'll tell you about it in a minute. So I'm scrolling through looking for videos about Butlins, and the thumbnail for this one really caught my attention. Check it out.
Billy Butlin is a man who made holidays his life's work, and he's made a fortune out of other people's fun. His holiday camp empire grosses him $2.5 million every week of every.
So if you notice down in the bottom right-hand corner is that thing, except of course it's black and white. You see that thing? That logo thing there? Down here? That is the logo for CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Summer. And what does he sell? Some say regimented hoop-de-doo. Now, in contrast, the mild-mannered mastermind who turned a Canadian idea into a personal gold mine. Tom Hill interviews Billy Butlin in London.
When you were a boy in Canada, what did you want to do?
Billy Butlin was Canadian. The Butlins holiday camp was started by a Canadian.
What did you want to be?
Well, when I was going to school, a few years I went to school, my ambition was to earn enough money to keep my mother.
Did you want to do it in any particular way?
No, when I was young, I wasn't interested in any particular line of business. Then, when I once started work, I started work as an office boy at Eaton's. I then got interested in wanting to be a commercial artist.
Well, where did this idea of Butlin's holiday camps come from?
Well, I got that in.
So he was talking about Eaton's there. Good evening, Rick. How you making out? You're still at work, are you? I don't know if I've obviously seen you're not at work, but you do work a lot. You need some time off, brother. Eaton's. I don't even know if Eaton's exists anymore. Eaton's was a department store like Woolworths, and they did a lot of mail order stuff. Yeah, I haven't seen. I've seen the girl drummer for Rush, the new drummer, but I haven't seen her do any Neil Peart style drumming yet. That's going to be interesting to see that for sure. Much smaller kit than Neil, that's for sure. So that'll be interesting to see her play some of those drum solos on that small kit. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. God love them. They got a girl to play. That's sweet. I mean, you know, if she can handle the gig, more power to her. I'm sure she's a better drummer than me, which doesn't take much to be a better drummer than me. Eaton's is a department store like Woolworths was, and it's the big. It was the big Canadian department store. Did mail order and stuff like that. And there's a Eaton Center in Toronto, which is what he's talking about there. And when he mentioned it, there's a very famous sculpture of Canada geese up in the ceiling flying. Very realistic looking Canada geese flying in that V formation. And it's been there a long, long time. I don't even, it must still be there, but I don't think Eaton's exists anymore as a department store as such. Like, you know, Woolworths doesn't exist anymore, Sears doesn't exist anymore. Um, one year at Christmas, they put red ribbons around the Canada geese necks, the sculptures up in the ceiling, and people went insane, like defaming defacing the statues, the famous Canada geese statue in the Eaton Center. Anyway, he worked at Eaton's, and that's where he got the idea to do Butlins, apparently.
You know, really, Eaton's had a small camp. It held about 500 for their staff, where the staff, and it was usually the younger ones, could go and spend their 2 weeks vacation on the edge of Lake Ontario. And that's where I really got the idea.
Well, why didn't you put it into effect in Canada? Why did you come over here?
Well, when I came back here, I didn't have very much money. In fact, I worked my way over to England in 1921 on a cattle boat. And when I arrived in this country, I had £5. So I couldn't have started very well in Canada to do anything like building a camp. Of course, I never thought at that time that I ever would have enough money to do it. But I started in this country with traveling showmen. And I eventually got a stall of my own, and lorries of my own. And then when I went and stayed a couple of weeks at a seaside place where they had the fair, and I saw it raining all the time, and I saw how miserable the people were in boarding houses and small hotels, that I saw.
Yeah, apparently he went there with his family, and one of the things I watched, they went on a holiday or something, and they got kicked out of the B&B. There was bed and breakfast they were staying in. Like, you couldn't stay in the bed and breakfast during the day, and they were out in the miserable cold weather. They were there in the wintertime. It was part of the lore of Billy Butlins. Billy Butlins had a dark side, did he? I don't know anything about the guy. I've only learned what I've learned about him today. So you know what I know, basically. Billy Butlins had a dark side. He didn't have a nose, apparently. God, TV has come a long way, hasn't it? I don't know what year that's from. It doesn't say. Doesn't say. But it is many, many years ago for sure. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that, and that was our little look at this day in history. So I'm going to show you our Where Is It photo one more time before we go, and see if you can figure out where this place is. That's what we're going to look at on Monday. Again, these photos are just inspirational connections to the stuff we're going to look at and talk about. They're not directly related as Astrex. Billy No Nose Butlin, yeah. Billy No Nose. I saw that today. What's Paul Wilde? He does ceramic kind of things. He does his own cartoon drawings on plates and cups and things. And he's really big into the rock and roll history of Greater Manchester. I've never met him, but I've spoken to him through email and stuff. And hopefully someday we'll get together and do a video. But I saw a plate he did this morning, and it was Peter Noon, and I guess it's just the way he wrote it. It's handwritten across the top of the plate, Peter Noon, and it looks like Peter No One. And I was like, why didn't I think of that before? I'm sure somebody must have thought of that before. Noone, Peter Noon, Peter No One. And I was asking, because I'm working on this concert, this Christmas concert, but I'm also working on a just regular concert, regular history type concert. Herman's Hermits, yeah. And Peter Noon and Herman's Hermits, why aren't they as well known here? I never hear anyone talk about Herman's Hermits. Like, you always hear about the Hollies and, what's the other one? I'm telling you now, I'm telling you right away. Da, 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 I'm in love with you now. What was the name of that band? Freddie and the Dreamers? Is that right? Even them you hear about, and you never hear of Herman's Hermits. I never hear people brag about Herman's Hermits being from here. You hear about Davy Jones. You hear about Davy Jones being from here. But you just don't hear about Herman's Hermits. I don't know why. Who was in the house? Baby with a laser? Freddie, is that who you're talking about? Or Peter Noon? Freddie Garrity. Oh, yeah, look, there you go. There's another connection. The Bee Gees, yeah, another one. I did a video about the Bee Gees a long time ago. They were trying to, and I don't know what's become of it, they were trying to save the place that's next door to the pub there. The first place that the Bee Gees ever played. And they're trying to save the building and turn it into some kind of community center. So I don't know what's become of it. I'll have to check into that. So there's our photo for Monday's live stream. And I have to go do birthday things because it's a birthday here in this house tonight. And I have to get some birthday things ready. It's not my birthday. A 10/10 birthday. We always remember October 10th here. So that is our video for Friday, October 10th, 2025. And we'll be back on Monday, the 13th. So I hope to see you then, and we'll see you in the next one.